on Skype. We have been joined by Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, who's a former ambassador. I'd like to thank you all for your time and being part of the show. Starting off our conversation with Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan regarding the OIC summit and regarding the Israeli strikes in Gaza. A former ambassador, we know, and this has been talked about time and time again. There's been calls for a ceasefire. There's been action at the ICJ by South Africa. There's also been talks at the United Nations. There's international calls mounting and mounting. There's ongoing protests that are going on, calling for a ceasefire and calling for an end to the offensive that Israel is carrying out against the Gazan population. What more can be done, and how could these actions by the Israeli regime be stopped or put an end to, and how can more emphasis be put on these calls for a ceasefire? As we know that there's been mounting calls, but Israel hasn't been heeding to any of these.
Yes, in fact, we should admit and we should recognize the handicaps which most of the countries of the world have, including the OIC members, 57 countries, that a clear-cut decision and clear-cut resolution cannot be adopted about the boycott of Israel. So there is no such mention in the declaration of the summit, 15th summit. Whatever best could have been done under these circumstances, where the countries have influence of geopolitical considerations. So under those influence and of course the pressure, they could this is what they could say. Let me also draw the attention of your viewer that the OIC and its very first article, it indicates an article. Once I'm saying first article, the article number 1 and its 12th section, it says the humanitarian emergency. What could be a bigger humanitarian emergency than the Palestine, the Gaza people who are suffering? Almost about 2 million people. They are almost going to die of famine if this continue with that. And then Article 1 and its subsection 8, it says that the support and empower Palestinian people, establish sovereign state. Pakistan was quite vocal. Pakistan once again emphasized and underscored that Palestinians should get the membership and they should have their own sovereign state. But what could be the implementing tools of all these resolutions which you mentioned in your intro? There are more than about 600 resolutions which has been passed since 7th of October. But hardly anyone has been implemented, and none has been implemented with regard to the ceasefire and permanent humanitarian pause. And I would also draw the attention of your viewer about Article 18 of the OIC. And then Article 18 is very clear that, first of all, in the preamble, Article 1, it mentions about the Palestine, and I'm going to build that argument for what kind of a declaration was issued by OIC this 15th summit. So the other point which I want to highlight here is that there is a specific article which mentioned that OIC would have a dedicated Assistant Secretary General who would only work for the cause of Palestine and also ensure that all the resolutions which has been passed are implemented through the efforts of these summits, whether it's a summit under Article 8, the head of states, or whether it's a summit under Article 9, which is the common of the Council of Foreign Ministers, or extraordinary session which took place last year in November in regard to the Palestinian problem. But now, what is the bottom line? Including this summit, we were not, the resolution was not as strong as it should have been. In fact, Pakistan was quite vocal in the in the General Assembly. Pakistan's permanent representative representing Pakistan had used the word of genocide in Palestine. But those kind of wordings have not been used here. Rather, the emphasis and the theme is altogether it's enhancing unity and solidarity, and which automatically implies that solidarity with whom? The Muslim Ummah, the member states, the people, the minorities. So they did mention about Palestine, but if the resolution or the declaration would have contained one of the paras indicating that we will boycott Israel, we will not allow our airspace to be used by Israel, will not allow our airspace to carry the weapon for Israel from various countries. So that could have been a different ballgame. But as I said, that as per the geopolitical intricacies, that countries are slightly careful about giving this kind of a statement or attributing to this kind of a declaration. So yes, this session took place, and we appreciate that. They did mention about Islamophobia. They did mention about the sustainable development of. They did mention about the social, cultural, and harmonization of various countries. All those things have been discussed, and they did mention about the global issues, particularly situation in Palestine. But they just discussed. They did not really take any action or any decision which could be actionable. So that is one thing which we must admit. In fact, those things which could be actionable, like the South Africans, they did it. Like some North American countries, they did it. In fact, none of the member states of the OIC was able to do it. However, we were quite clear in our thoughts. Our foreign minister, he in para 14, it is mentioned resolve long-standing dispute of Palestine and Jammu and Kashmir, occupied Jammu and Kashmir. So that was at least adopted, that was at least incorporated in the declaration, which seems quite positive development so far Kashmir is concerned. But at least we were able to raise this point even for Palestine, which Pakistan was able to do that. And then the declaration mentioned about, and of course, the credit goes to Pakistan with regard to the Security Council resolution, which was spearheaded by Pakistan, Turkey, and also one or two more countries, including Saudi Arabia, and the tributes were passed to them. So these were some of those salient features, but I was trying to find out that despite the fact that OIC very clearly underscores the cause of Palestine, but at least they should have relied on the Security Council resolution, in which it was the ceasefire was demanded and Israel didn't really. And as we are talking, as we are progressing in our debate today, the Israelis, they are all set to invade, are all set to again conduct door-to-door operation in Rafah. And this place where they are going to go, perhaps tonight, the way the Israeli troops have already announced that they should vacate. This is the 15th time that the Palestinians, they move from one place to another place. On the announcement of the Israeli troops, they are bombarded there. They are asked to move again to another place. This is the 15th time they are moving from this location, and now this would also be raided, and the door-to-door operation, it appears, would. The entire world is, with one voice, is demanding that it should not happen. But Israel is determined to do that because Israel knows that they would have the support of the Security Council. Anything which is detrimental to the intention, I would say, not even interest, intention of Israel, that would be vetoed. So just because of this reason that they are carrying forward. But there has to be some logic. There has to be some reason that why the biggest supporter of Israel has not been able to influence Israel, that is US, not been able. Joe Biden, yesterday was the second time that he spoke with Benjamin Netanyahu, asking him to avoid such kind of an operation where the innocent human lives are lost, and take all the precautions. And these are the wordings which Joe Biden has used couple of times, avoid take all the protective measures to ensure that the innocent lives are not lost in that. But beyond that, if they wanted, they could have moved their warships which are surrounding Gaza. If they wanted, they could have given a final warning to the Israel. But we understand, and the world understands, that what pressure the United States has, that they are facing the students such a huge protest in all the campus. They have faced the protest all over the country, not only US, other countries also, but we're talking about the US. But still they are not being able to take. Government had a very clear decision to influence Israel or to ask Israel that the US would not support if they do not listen to the US in this case. But it's not going to happen, because we have to understand that the Zionist lobby, and it's not me who's saying that, so many researchers and analysts of the internationally have already mentioned that because of the lobby, which is so well engrossed in the Congress, in the financial system, in the administrative system, in the media system, that it becomes very hard for the US government or US leadership to take a decision which goes against the legal or illegal, I would say mostly illegal, interest of Israel. And the clear cut.
Right, Dr. Jamil, of course, and actually, Dr. Jamil, what's your take on this politics of hatred? And of course, considering that there's a grand alliance that is in opposition of the Modi regime, the BJP regime at the moment.
Like what we were discussing in the first segment, to understand why Israel is doing what they are doing now, that they have unleashed all kind of atrocities and killed journalists and killed people, about 35,000. Likewise, in India, we have to understand that what is the RSS movement and the BJP government is an offspring of RSS. As a matter of fact, even the Prime Minister of India, from the age almost 14, 15 years that he's been a member there, so that Hindutva ideology and that very policy is being told that all the minorities are being marginalized, and it's not me who is saying that. It has already been mentioned in the United States 2 reports, which is the Religious Freedom Report, and they are very clearly calculated upon it. But again, why India is not really paying any heed to it, whether it's Kashmir, more than about 7, 8 resolutions, it doesn't listen to it. And like Israel doesn't listen to any of the resolutions. And I was very confident that once resolution number 2712 was passed on 15th November to halt the aggression of Israel, and Israel totally declined that, I knew that they are not going to do that and what support there. Likewise, the election is one kind of a golden opportunity for the BJP to exploit and do that same rhetoric of saying everything against Pakistan, and they're doing that. It's basically more of a political campaign, although there has been always some problem with the BJP government. And the world has already witnessed that what they have done, the kind of enactment which they have passed, whether it's the Citizens Act, or it's Citizens Register, or it's other enactments, what they have done in Kashmir, all these things, it does not, it is in conflict with international law. But since it has its geopolitical significance in the region, since the containment of China policy of the United States, India becomes a very important country in achieving that purpose. So all what they are doing is really not being taken notice of by the international community. Security Council resolutions, or even if some resolution is tabled by any other Security Council member, 99.99% it would be vetoed, like it happens in case of Israel, that all these resolutions which can give some relief to the Palestinians. Either it's vetoed or it's not really heard. So coming back to the Indian election, like last time, they are using the same rhetoric time and again of meeting about the Bush related to Pakistan, all these allegations, and so that's how they are doing it. And I think they'll continue to do that till the time the entire process is complete, and afterward probably some sanity would prevail. But we should expect that there would be any improvement in so far as the marginalization policy is concerned, because that's one of those fundamental aim and objective of the Hindutva ideology and the BJP policy adopted by BJP. So that seems to be continuing so long as India has its significance in the geopolitical scene of the region and the globe, particularly with regard to, as I said, the containment of China. And therefore, India has entered into some of the treaty, some of the agreement with the United States, which otherwise could never have happened, including Gujarat, the logistics support, although it's in the name of logistics, but there are so many other things which is happening around. And the first time India has allowed any other foreign entity or country to use those their seaport for the operational purpose, although it's called as logistic ports. And likewise, they have also entered into some of the agreements which empowers India in terms of collection of intelligence, in terms of their technological collaboration, in terms of their joint venture and producing the war weapons. So if we have all those factors in our mind, we will probably be drawing some conclusion that why India is scot-free, like Israel is scot-free, whatever they are doing. So India, whatever a human rights violation, what could be the bigger evidence against India than the two very voluminous Human Rights Commission report. The last report, which Human Rights Commission, it was over 100 pages, and which contains all the atrocities which has been unleashed and Kashmir, but again, nothing happened. And the Commissioner of Human Rights, once he was presenting that report and salient features of that report in front of the press, his tears started rolling out. But Pakistan had given 131 pages of dossiers to United Nations. But again, because there are two faces of United Nations, we were discussing in the previous segment also, United Nations is a political wing, as well as United Nations has a secretariat wing. Secretariat wing, but what they are doing in Gaza, they are trying their best, so much so that the Secretary General was asked to resign by Israel. First time any member state has ever asked the Secretary General to resign. So they are so critical, and they've started labeling the allegation against the UN staff members. Yeah. So because of which the United Nations Secretariat wing, like UNRWA, they are not really that effective because Israel doesn't let them come in with their humanitarian aid. But the Security Council, which can always invoke Chapter 5 of the United Nations Charter or Chapter 6 of the United Nations Charter against any country which is violating the Security Council resolution, but it's always vetoed because it's totally a political wing, and it is driven by the geopolitical environment and echo of the ecosystem of the entire world. So there, all these countries who have the veto power and have their own interests, in fact, they are the one they call the shot in United Nations. So normally we try and mix it up with the Secretariat, with the political wing, which is the Security Council resolution. Security Council resolutions,
that's a very point highlighted that you just did. It is something that emphasis should be laid on, of course, and these hegemonic designs should be stopped for there to be peace in the world, and there should be regional stability in the world, and for prosperity as a whole. With that, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Jamil Ahmed Khan, former ambassador. Thank you for your time and your insights. It was